Hot 97, hey, it's Megan Ryte hanging out with Andy Mineo. What's up, man?
What's good? How you feeling?
I'm excited to have you here, okay? For a few reasons. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But first of all, congrats on the album.
Thank you.
You know, amazing album, amazing project. But I want to talk to you a little bit about, for people who don't know you and don't know where you're from, and you kind of just, you know, you hopped on the scene, but you've been working for a while. So let's take me back. Take me back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Not the beginning, but the beginning, you know.
I was born a baby. No, yeah, man. Grew up in Syracuse, New York, upstate, and then I moved to New York City, you know, about 10 years ago. Went to college here, City College in New York, and I've been making music. All right. Yeah, and I've been making music for a minute.
So were you in a dorm? Were you one of the kids? Because I remember back in college, they'd be in the dorms. They had groups. Were you one of those? Okay.
I was in the dorms, and I actually was an RA.
Oh.
In order to help, so I was ending all the parties, but I was paying for my tuition.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in the dorms, and then you know, working on music there, and you know, one of the main reasons I wanted to move to New York was to, you know, go to college and play sports, and then also just pursue my music career. And you know, I got into the audio technology program there, so I had access to recording studios through my whole you know, time in college, and that's really when I was making a lot of projects, mixtapes, and getting a lot of my first placements. You know, so. But
how does that happen? It's like, I always, when I talk to artists, I want to know, like, when is their first, like, ooh, I made it moment? Because it's like you went from, you know, just kind of in school doing music to getting placements. Like, what happened in between for people, especially for people who are watching who want to, you know, go down that path? Like, what was the in between moment that kind of got you started to get noticed, where you had the opportunity to get placements and to be working with people?
The internet.
Now, yeah.
Man, I mean, yeah, to be honest, like the taking off of the internet has allowed, you know, artists to be able to put their music out there and have people share it and come around and find it really quickly. You know, so I was just putting out my own stuff, doing my thing, and finding my audience. And through that, you know, I garnered the attention of a lot of people, to the point where when I was getting ready to graduate my senior year in 2011, I was being courted by 3 different labels. Ooh. So I ended up signing, you know, the same month I graduated. So I finished college, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll be a rapper.
Nice,
you know, for a living. But I mean, you know, I've been doing my thing, making money off of making music for a while. So it was a natural transition. But yeah, the internet really was where it was happening. And me and Lecrae hooked up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna get into that. Like, I heard about that when I first started hearing about you. I heard about Lecrae. So how did that? Were you a writer for him, or how did that whole thing happen?
Yeah, so I wrote for his project Rehab. My man Alex Medina, who's the art director at Reach Records right now, the label that I'm signed to. We was in a classroom together, you know, playing. We was at a piano class together. I look over at him, and he's, you know, he's not doing the lesson. He's making beats on his piano, whatever. So me and him connected. We ended up becoming friends. He goes on to work with Lecrae, and he's producing for Lecrae, and me and him are working on music. So he pitches a few records that I wrote choruses for and stuff. And, you know, Lecrae picks it up. We do the song together, Background, which is a big song for him. And then from there, we just started having that dialogue, that relationship. So you land a placement, and, you know, then I had my own songs coming out at that time, and it was just like, it was the right move. It was the right fit. So, you know, that was the beginning, 2011.
And then everything just started kind of one thing after another going into place. So for this album that you have out, like, how long did it take to put the whole thing together? Like, how long have you been working on that?
Yeah, I started in 2014 in like March. And then what ended up happening was, you know, I went down to Atlanta. I started working on a bunch of tracks. And then a month later, I was engaged.
Oh.
So I've recently been married a year, but
congrats.
Yeah, so, you know, I was working on music, and all of a sudden, you know, I get engaged, and now my whole, you know, attention has shifted because I proposed, and then 4 months later we got married. So I spent a lot of that time, as I was supposed to be getting ready to, you know, work on the next project, also planning for a wedding.
Well, that's good. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
So it made it hard to work on the music, to be honest with you. As soon as we got married, me and my wife, we went out on tour with Lecrae. You know, did the Anomaly tour. She came out on the tour bus with me.
Right.
You know, so it's like, it was getting married, and then it was going on tour, and then it was Christmas, and then it was the top of the year. So it took about a year and a half to do, and through a lot of changes. I mean, through that time, I scrapped probably 30 songs. you know?
I always wonder,
So-
like, when artists are working on projects, it's like, and when I think of an album and, you know, a typical, I remember back like 5-10 years ago, you know, you'd feel like you'd have 18, 19, 20, 21 songs on these albums. And now it's scaled down quite a bit. But, you know, how many songs are you actually recording to get the right, the right piece? Like, is it just, you're just doing it until you get one, or?
Yeah, well, there's little pieces floating around. So I got songs that have 2 verses and no chorus floating around, or songs with just chorus ideas, and you know, probably about a handful of those. You know, probably 15 to 20 of those left over, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with those things now. But yeah, when you're trying to create that cohesive body of work, you're really trying to like pinpoint what songs are going to feel well together to make the right project, instead of just throwing a bunch of hits together to make it feel like a Spotify playlist or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was why the process took so long. But yeah, probably 15 to 20 chilling.
I know. I don't want to label you because but as far as like what kind of artist do you consider yourself? Is there a different genre that you consider yourself in, or do you just consider yourself, you say I'm a rapper, I'm an MC? Like, is there a different? I guess if we had to put a label on it, would there be one?
Yeah, I mean, people put labels on artists, you know, to help them box them and understand them. But, you know, I don't put labels on myself, for real. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hip hop artist, and, you know, I make the music that I'm passionate about. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think because my perspective is very unique in hip hop, people are trying to understand it.
Right.
Because, you know, I am a Christian and a follower of Jesus. And so that stuff comes through in my music, you know, because my relationship with God is a real one, where it's not a gimmick or a shtick to sell records. It's actually, that's a real part of my life, because it affects real parts of my life that comes through in the music. You know, and so I think, you know, people are throwing labels on that, but, you know, I've been saying this a lot. Like, there's good music, there's bad music. You know, like, if you like good music, you know, and you like my stuff, you know, that's it. That's really how I've been saying it.
So as anybody would talk about their life, you're going to talk about what's in your life.
Absolutely.
And that just so happens to be in your life. But your story, everything sounds amazing. When I heard your song for the first time, I was like, I love this. Here in my heart, I was like, this is so different. This is so awesome. This is it. Like, this is a good feeling song, and it tells a story. And I feel like it kind of gives the listeners a perspective about you. And you're a New Yorker, and I remember I hit up Nels. Shout out to Nels. I hit him up and I said, you know, I'm gonna play it today. They're gonna do it too. And for anybody watching, if you didn't know, he's a hip hop artist, but he's a comedian on the side too. Because you've got to have one of the funniest Instagrams like that I have seen. So I remember when I played the song and you shot a video, and you could I believed it in the video. I believed the excitement. So how did it feel? I mean, not just me playing, but just in general, like as a New Yorker and a Hot 97 as the brand, like hearing you know your song for the first time. Like, what was the feeling behind that?
So my new album Uncomfortable just came out, you know, and I'm on tour doing that right now. But the single that we've been pushing has been Hear My Heart,
right?
Which is, you know, we'll talk about that, but it's a song about my sister and how she's deaf and how I never learned sign language. Is kind of my apology to her. And
so that's a real story then.
That's real.
Okay.
Yeah, that's real. And you know, Nels, my man who was hooking everything up, was letting me know, hey, check it out, it's gonna be on at New It too. And so I was like, all right, cool. And so I'm going to the post office, and I realize like 2:00 is coming up. So I'm in the post office, and I'm like pulling from my app the where Hip Hop Lives app, and I open it up.
Got the app.
I got the app, and I open it up, and I hear it playing, and all of a sudden it just was like, you know, you grow up listening to Hot 97, you know, hearing all your favorite rappers on there, you know what I'm saying, just always turning it on in the car, and then finally, for the first time for me to hear my record being played over the airwaves, it was a surreal moment. I was like, ah! Right? And I'm in the post office, and people are standing in line. You're already mad if you at the post office.
Right.
Then they look at me, you know, and I'm like, I'm on my little hoverboard, like doing circles, you know, laughing. And it's funny because, like, I heard, like, the little, like, new it too, like, over the top of it, and that's when I knew it was real. Like, it wasn't just playing from my phone.
Right.
And, yeah, so I, you know, I picked up my packages, and, like, I'm strolling home, listening to it. And I was like, I have to make an Instagram video right now.
Yeah,
capture this
I
moment.
showed everybody that video. It was pretty cool. But I didn't know the story. The story is real.
Yeah, the
So
story's real.
I noticed it's a dope song the way you put it together. Because you have the singing, the rapping. I remember when I first heard it, I listened to it like 10 times because I was like, is that him in the beginning? Is he singing too?
Yeah.
Rapping, and then I realized it was in the whole, so your sister, explain how, the whole situation.
So my sister Grace, she was born deaf, and basically, what happened was, my nephew, which is her son, he was at his graduation party. He had graduated high school, and I came up to visit him in Syracuse, and we were sitting at a picnic table, and I explained this in the second verse, and she came up to me with a couple of her deaf friends, and she introduced me, and they started signing to me, and I was like, oh no, I don't speak sign language, because the majority of my life, me and my sister, we communicate. She could just read my lips, or I would like hit something, or shake something to get her attention, and then like text messaging or writing. So at that moment when they introduced me and I didn't speak sign language back, they kind of looked at me crazy like, how do you not know sign language? This is your sister.
Right.
And they turned towards each other and they started signing. And all of a sudden I was like, yo, what are y'all talking about?
Talking about me.
Like, are you leaving me? Like, I feel left out. And all of a sudden that's when a light bulb clicked for me, where it was like, yo, I feel so alone right now. Like, I don't know what everyone's talking about. And that's when I realized that must have been what my sister's felt like her entire life, being left out of conversations. I mean, you and me talking right now, nobody's translating this.
Right.
So she couldn't even watch this or participate in regular everyday things,
Right.
Without closed captioning or like assistance. But we don't really think about the deaf community in that way. And so this song was called Hear My Heart, which was basically an apology, and so we got the music video coming out for that too. We've been working on it, and that's on the way. But yeah, that record was for her, and that was a real apology, and it just happened to be the one that people have liked the most too. So I'm excited about that, because I think my role in hip hop is going to be to bring more meaningful conversations to the forefront. Like everybody likes their club records and their girl records and their money records or whatever, but to be honest with you, I'm sick of it. I'm bored of it, and I'm like, anybody gonna talk about anything real? You know what I mean? So,
but you are. You can hear. You
Sure.
can not just hear, but you can feel it too in your songs. You can feel that you're passionate about it, and you can feel that you're speaking your truths. I do want to know: have you learned or made an attempt to try to learn sign language now, or do you feel like you might?
Yes.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Good.
That's been a slow ongoing process. So at the end of the record, in the bridge, I say, sometimes these words aren't enough, so let me show you. And so, I've had opportunity to quote unquote show her.
Awesome.
Show my love. And that's also going to be shown in the music video and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's all coming together well.
So what's the immediate future for you? What you got coming up? What's going on? Obviously you're working. You got the album out, but what can we expect to see in the near future?
Yeah, well, I'm on tour now. Uncomfortable Tour. We just sold out Irving Plaza, so I'll be there coming up. And we got the Uncomfortable Tour with me and Propaganda and Spazzy Rocket. We're going to go do that. I'm going to finish that at the end of November, take some time off to go do the holidays and work on new music. And then in the spring, I'm going to go out and do another 20 cities and go all through the West Coast, Uncomfortable Tour Part 2. And really just lots of plans on releasing a lot of music next year.
Anybody you want to work with or you're excited to? Or first, anybody that you think that you might be able to tell us that you kind of, it might happen, you might work with, and then like maybe dream list type person.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, like one of my favorite artists growing up has been Kanye West. And one of the reasons why I've enjoyed what he does is because he's been able to take different genres of music and different styles and different flavors and bring them into hip hop. And so, one of the things I'm really passionate about is working with people that are not in hip hop at all and creating new sounds and fusion sounds. So, a lot of artists people haven't heard of, like Josh Garrels. Looking forward to working with him. I would love to do something like with Adele. You know what I'm saying? Like just pull into different spheres.
Listen, she shut the internet down with her Hello single. Just shut it down. That would be a dope collab. I can hear it too.
I mean, to be honest, like I'm not the guy who's like, yo, I want to work with all these rappers and like all these R&B
But
singers.
Adele, she's
right.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the dream list. Is like I really want to work with people that are bigger than hip hop, that are outside of hip hop. Because I feel like there's more music to be made. There's more sounds to be made. There's more innovation to happen, and that's really what I'm aiming for.
Well, I'm excited to hear.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear it, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the album, on the marriage, wifey. She, you
Yeah,
know, on the tour.
Boricua.
She's touring with you. Going to be continue to tour with you.
She's out on tour with me now.
That's good though. That's good. That's how it should be. That's good.
We having fun, man, and you know, she's a very intelligent girl. She just graduated college. She's getting ready to figure out what she wants to do next.
Awesome.
And so I'm gonna support her wherever she wants to go. But for right now, she took this time to tour with me, and that's been a blessing. So
awesome.
We'll see, man.